Hey, thanks for joining me. Killrazor. Who remembers this character? Um, I would probably suggest that out of all the major superheroic characters from the Top Cow universe that were introduced and supposed to be kind of thought of as this is one of many new superhero characters that we're excited to bring to you, and you're going to see them in these all new action comics. You know, we've got Cyberforce, and then we got, what was it, Codename Strike Force, or whatever the hell it was. Killrazor. He's probably the one that people probably remember the least and cannot remember anything about beyond, like, oh yeah, he's the guy with the knives or something that was in the background of that secondary team. Um, it's funny because the character, the design, the name, it all feels kind of like something that would kind of show up at a Extreme Studios book, honestly. Um, Top Cow and Silvestri's kind of characters in his books always kind of seem to have a little bit more of a, at least an attempted sophistication, so to speak, within the context of 90s image comic stuff. Like, you know, I'm trying to properly kind of frame this. I'm not trying to say it's sophisticated like this they're trying to stand up with the likes of Watchmen and The Dark Knight. No, these are all just dumb action comics with, you know, good art and hot girls and cool guys and monsters and action and fun for teenage boys mostly. Um, but you know, Wildstorm had a specific vibe and a feel. Extreme Studios had a specific vibe and a feel, and so did Top Cow. I was mentioning that when I looked at what is it, Strike Force Zero? They had Anthony Wynn had drawn, which the story was nothing to really remember, but art-wise, I was really a big fan of Anthony Wynn's art for sure. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to is that Silvestri's books kind of had at least the appearance of trying a little bit harder. And of course, there's better artistic direction from someone like a Silvestri and his studio, from a book that would be over at Extreme Studios. But this character, the name, the design, and everything, even this book itself, this feels like this is something that Liefeld would have greenlit, you know. And it's kind of interesting that this character gets his own title. Like, it's just a one-off. As far as I know, like, I don't see that this story is going to continue. It kind of feels like it's just meant for just like a one-off. But I actually honestly don't know. You can tell me in the comments if this went another issue or two or three or something like that. Um, but yeah, the bladed guy on Codename Strike Force. Like, every team's got the bladed guy. You know, Cyberforce has got Ripclaw. Um, X-Men's got Wolverine, and Wildcats have Warblade, and you can just go on and on. There's always the guy with the knives. This guy, there's literally the only unique thing about him is how his knives manifest, as opposed to, like, are they just things on your hands and they're your fingers, or your entire body is liquid metal and you could reshape your entire body. This thing I thought would kind of explain the character. That's kind of what I thought would happen here. It's focused on Killrazor, the character. I'm like, okay, this is a guy I don't know anything about because he doesn't seem interesting at all. But this would at least tell me something about him. And yeah, no, it kind of doesn't tell you anything at all. Not a thing. The only thing I remember about the character, here's the unique spin. The character does have a unique-ish thing that makes him stand out from other characters with blade weapons. For some reason, some way, somehow, kind of like Warblade on Wildcats, sort of, he can manifest bladed weapons from any part of his body, and he can shape them into any shape that he wants. He's still got a physical flesh human body, so it's not like Warblade where he's like liquid metal. But for whatever reason, somehow, some way, he can pop blades out. But the unique thing is, it's not like it's Wolverine where it just comes out of the back of his hands, or Ripclaw where it's the tip of his fingers, or some animal character that's got fingernail claws. He can pop metal blades from literally anywhere. And so that's one unique thing. And the other unique thing is that it physically scars his body every time he pops a blade. And it doesn't heal. So he's scarred horrifically. Hence the reason he's always masked up and covered. And he never speaks for some reason. And that is it. The end. That is the everything that's kind of unique about this character, at least according to the few books I've read with him, including this one. Nothing there. As a cover, it's kind of fine. You know, the main character is framed well, and he's kind of posed well, and you got backup characters behind him. The evil bad guy faces are kind of hidden behind the title and all that type of stuff. So it's almost like you don't even notice that they're there. I mean, you notice there's shapes and there's color, but you're focused on the main figure, which is the point. These reds and golds kind of stand out against the cool tones of the background, but I honestly didn't notice that there were actual faces until just right now. But you pop it open. Written by Brian J. Greene. No idea who that is. Anthony Chun. I was kind of surprised to see his pencils on this. I've seen his work a little bit here and there through Top Cow. He's one of those guys where I was kind of saying, like, he was talented, but he's got a style that just didn't seem to fit the Top Cow universe. It's kind of a more cartoony, lighthearted, animated, kind of whimsical style that's attempting to do the dark, grim, and gritty Image Comics type vibe. And I've never been a huge fan. It's not that it's not any good. It's just not my favorite. I gotta say, this style that he kind of does in this book, I kind of think this is the best thing I've ever seen him do. I can't say I know everything Anthony Chun has ever drawn, but from the few things I have seen him do, this one kind of looks the best. Inks by Aaron Soud, D-Tron, Jason Gorder, Vince Russell. Vince Russell's the only name who I don't recognize there. Jonathan D. Smith on color, so of course the coloring is going to look good. But again, like I was saying, we kind of want to know more about the character. Like, that's the idea. We're going to get into the character's mindset, maybe his backstory, why he is who he is, why he does what he does. And you learn nothing of any kind of consequence at all. I was shocked at how empty the story was. You don't learn anything. You just start out, we're in the Himalayas, Nepal, a long time ago. He is known only as Razor. It's also, like, I'm sorry, Brian J. Greene, whoever you are. This shit is written so cliche. It's like, oh, I almost, you know, I get done reading Planetary by Warren Ellis, and as I talk about all the time, they don't put fucking text boxes all over this telling you shit you don't know. So I start looking at some of these stories, and I imagine, could this story work if there was none of these text boxes here at all? And I kind of think it would add an air of mystery. I don't need to know that he's in the Himalayas or Nepal. It is kind of irrelevant. You could have somebody just say it later. Have guys silently sitting there. Why is he naked, you know, cooling his balls on the snow and the ice? Because he's just a cool hero, I guess. He's sitting there, close up on him. He turns and he looks. He hears something. He sees something. Something's got his attention. None of this text helps that story. Again, he is known only as Razor. This cold and desolate place is his home. He has lived here in solitude for a seeming eternity in silent meditation. But now that solitude has been broken, someone comes. Honestly, remove all that text. Just have the guy silently sitting there, and he turns and he looks. I'm instantly more interested because we're not given bullshit information, so we just have to fill it in. So it creates an air of mystery, like, oh, who's he? What's he doing? What's going on? And again, just have his bare naked ass cooling his nuts on the snow, looks down through the mountain pass, and there's some guys on a horse. And I looked at these guys, I'm like, I've seen these guys before. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I want to say it was either issue 4 or 5 of the regular run of Cyberforce, because the regular run of Cyberforce started out as a crossover with the Wildcats. I'm trying to remember the name of that crossover. I've actually covered them a long time ago, probably 3 years ago. I kind of want to dig them out and revisit the Wildcat Cyberforce crossover. It's kind of fun for as kind of dumb as it was. But after the crossover with the Wildcats, and we get into kind of like, okay, now we can start telling Cyberforce stories, there's some bad guys that looked exactly like this. Pale skin, their hair pulled back into a ponytail, wearing COVID masks or something shit like that. And I was like, oh yeah, there were these bad guys that showed up and were chasing after a ballistic, ended up fighting them. And they refer to them, it says here, they are the Keyasu Matra, in quotations, the Order of Silence. Okay, that's kind of dumb. It is an order to which Razor once belonged. The Keyasu Matra are assassins of mystical offshoot of the Gunmen. I was like, oh, right. it was a really kind of boring set of bad guys that Silvestri introduced. Like, Silvestri can make anything look awesome with his art, but there were just guys in like jackets and weird tech outfits with ponytails and pale skin and, you know, CPAP masks on, jumping around, and they had guns and they shot people. They're called the gunmen. Like, that's it. I thought they were all Ripclaw in disguise or so, with the pale skin and the long hair, but they're just called the gunmen. Like, really? Really kind of stupid. And this is the mystical offshoot of the gunmen, even though they look just like them and they do the exact same things. They jump around and they shoot people. Well, naked guy gets his naked ass up and struts back to his little hut. It's freezing cold, snowy mountain, and all he's got for a door are a couple of curtains. Kind of stupid. But again, these text boxes are telling you all kinds of shit that's not interesting. His destiny has come. For countless years he has waited. They fear him. His knowledge is a threat to an order that an order that values secrecy above all else. So they seek his death, for the only way to ensure his silence is to end his existence. But it is his existence, no matter how tortured, and he will not surrender it to anyone, not until he chooses. Let them come. And that is just like some terrible, like, exposition. It doesn't really tell you anything except that he used to belong to them and they want to kill him, and he's not going to let them kill him. So he puts on his little, again, this outfit, like this mask I designed, that is a Liefeld mask design if I've ever seen it. This should be an Extreme Studios book. He should be standing next to Bloodstrike and all kinds of other idiots. So it's just kind of interesting that this character is so generically boring. But hey, we have the opportunity right here. This issue, it's going to teach us about him, right? Well, so far you learned that he likes to chill his nuts out on the snow, and he's not going to let people kill him, so he puts on his outfit and pops out his blades. Okay, let's go. Now we cut to not a great-looking airplane, but I'm like, oh my god, another character I don't like. Anvil. Black Anvil. He's close. He's treading closely into the territory of Troll from Youngblood, which is amongst the stupidest, dumbest characters I've ever read. Don't like Troll in the slightest. And Black Anvil's almost right there with him, but he's a little bit more interesting visually, even though he's visually also kind of ridiculous. But that is the point of the character. He's the dense, super strong guy, but he's just short, not super tall. I kind of went over this when I reviewed the issue 0 of Strike Force. Not a great character, you know. They also tell me his name. His name is Percival Wainwright. I was like, what? Who named this character? Percival Wainwright. I mean, I guess it could be worse. It could be John Smith or something like that. Anyway, he gets off a plane. The people are kind of weirded out by him. He's on the phone like, I'm looking for this guide who's going to take me to this person that what might be worthy to join us, and it finds out it's hot blonde girl. He's like, oh shit, maybe we'll be hooking up later. He's interested, so he's gonna put the moves on her. Of course he's got sunglasses on. Of course he's got a big fat stogie. Of course he talks like a self-assured idiot. Like, it's all just shit you've read before from way more interesting characters, from way better artists and way better writers. But Anvil is going to get, she says, yeah, my name's Sindra Ramsey. I'll be taking you into the Himalayas to meet Razor. He's like, hell yeah. So they jump in a Jeep. Very exciting. It's going to take us 16 hours to get there, it says. Now we cut back to the offshoot of the gunmen. They're walking through the mountains. You see a close-up on their faces, and you see the slightest little indication of some kind of little tiny hut. And so these guys just start shooting, and they just start blowing away things. Now, again, we're supposed to be kind of moved by the horror of this, but why would we? We don't see what they're shooting. We don't see that there's anybody living there. We don't see that anybody's suffering or that they're dying, and these are cruel monsters. They just show up and start shooting things that you can barely even tell what they are. For all we know, there's nobody there, so maybe they're just on cleanup duty. Let's just burn these things down, and then it's cold, so it's not like it's going to burn the mountain down. Just blow them up. Like, who cares? So the drama is non-existent. It's cliche drama. Like, we're bad guys, we're shooting things. Very exciting. But as they sit there, grouped together in the distance, in the mountains above them, of course, comes Razor. There he is. He jumps down. It's kind of an okay shot. Like I was saying, Anthony Chun, he's got kind of a cartoony style, which doesn't show up quite as much here as it has in some of his other books. But he's got kind of a rounder, softer style to his art. It needs, I feel like it needs a little bit more angular, sharp edges. He also needs to, like, this guy, you're supposed to have a six-pack in your tummy, right? Sometimes a six, sometimes a eight-pack, you know. But here, he's just got big, four giant, bulging ab muscles, and then it ends right at his nuts. Anatomically, kind of strange. Like, it stood out big time to me. The rest of it anatomically is pretty solid with the shoulder muscles, the biceps. Like, it's kind of not bad. But, again, generic guy. Red outfit, pointy eye designs on his ninja mask, a weird little headband bandana thing that's not connected to anything, just coming out the back of his skull. And he can form blades. Jumps down, attacks the gunman guys, starts beating the shit out of them. And then, of course, the dialogue or the text, it's not like, I don't read it as these are Killrazor's inner thoughts, just text telling us stuff. But he's revisiting in his head the lessons he's learned from his master. I don't think actually you can see that. I might need to pull back. Let's see. It's a little bit better. But it says, hey, sorry, a little bit of a weird thing here. My audio crapped out while I was recording for a couple of minutes in the midsection here. So just a kind of a quick kind of voiceover for this section. I was just talking about how, you know, the characters are fighting and we're getting more kind of ridiculous wisdom from in the text from the masters. It says an animal is at its most dangerous when cornered. So it's just kind of silly, but you know, the action is kind of fine. You know, Killrazor's killing people here. What's the big deal? But, you know, it's kind of fine. We flipped the page, and then I was pointing out how Anthony Chun did, you know, I could see what he was going for in this double-page spread with the kick, but it's kind of goofy. You know, with him kicking his feet out, I was talking about how he should have been lunging forward with his arms and slicing heads off. And then I was like, hell, even have him slice the heads off the horses and then the people. I don't want to see horses get hurt by any means. But, I mean, why not? It's a comic book. It's not real. Who cares? But something besides this jump, double kick thing, it's a little goofy. And then the bad guys in the bottom, they're like, kill him, brother. So they keep shooting, and Killrazor can deflect bullets. Apparently he can take all kinds of bullets and deflect things. You know, but it doesn't really explain much. It's just he's tough and he's awesome, and he can do a flying double foot kick to the faces of these stupid, pointless bad guys. So, well, you know, it's fine. And we cut back over here, and he goes running. There's more wisdom in the text. It says, the warrior who is wise knows when retreat can be turned into an advantage. So, okay, sure. More wisdom. But Killrazor takes off. He can take a bunch of bullets to the back, which doesn't seem to hurt him at all. Yeah, and then an interesting point where they kind of get into his powers where he can form blades out of his body anywhere. And I'm trying to remember, what was I flipping back here for? Oh, yeah. We're showing how the bad guys here, their guns can shoot and blow up buildings with giant explosions. Now they're just things just lightly bouncing off his body. Like, okay, it's not very impactful. Like, it's used to blow up buildings. Now it just doesn't do anything. But yeah, Killrazor can form blades out of his fingers. And so what they do, it's kind of an interesting use of his powers. He crawls down a mountain face with his head downward, going down a mountain face. That's kind of interesting. I kind of get it. That's a fun kind of showing his powers. So, okay, that's fine. But then, yeah, he's running from the bad guys. And then on the next page, we cut back to Anvil and Hot Girl, and they're coming around the mountain, and Black Anvil's trying to hit on the girl and trying to be smooth and kind of clever. But anyway, back to the regular audio. So thanks for joining me on this one, and we'll continue with the audio. I'm just checking my audio. My little microphone here has been struggling. God, I hope I didn't lose all this audio and I'm just recording nothing. I guess we'll see. Anyway, continuing back with Anvil. They're going around the mountains, and he's trying to be smooth with her and trying to hit on her. Um, but she's not. She's like kind of sort of flirting with him, and he's kind of like, all right, this is kind of fun. They're up there. They're gonna go try and find Killrazor. Then we cut back to Killrazor. He's still climbing down the mountain. He thinks he's gonna get away, but doesn't quite happen because then you see a cable kind of drop down across the front of his face. And the gunmen, they can rappel down. They've got cables and shit. They can hook onto things. So they're jumping after him. They're jumping down. That's not a bad double page spread. It's more interesting and kind of better drawn than the giant double kick shot. You know, that one's a little goofy. But I get what, why, how Anthony Chun drew these long feet here, but I kind of like, those look like a couple of dongs hanging out from his crotch. I'm like, I was like, what the fuck? Oh, those are his feet. It's a little weird. They're way too long and skinny. I get the stylistic thing. Silvestri does it. Mike Mignola does it, but you're pushing it too far. I don't think it's working. But anyway, they're jumping down. And they start shooting at him, and they shoot him off the cliff. He's like, oh, shit, now he's going to fall. More wisdom from the masters. Never overestimate yourself or underestimate your opponents. Taught by the masters. He has done both. This cliche, like wisdom from their trainers, is just the worst. So he falls down. Of course, this is right at the exact moment where Jeep with Anvil and Hot Girl are there, and they're like, oh my God, did you hear gunshots? And of course, the timing could not be more impeccable. Killrazor literally falls on the hood of the Jeep, bounces off of it, and they're like, what the hell was that? Oh my God, it's Killrazor himself. So Killrazor is picking his ass up, but again, we don't get any kind of description or understanding of like, how tough is Killrazor? Clearly, he can take bullets and get shot. He can fall off a mountain and bounce off a car, and he's fine. What are his powers? Where do his powers come from? What level of damage can he take? It doesn't tell us anything. He just survives the shit. The gunmen come jumping down, and they point their guns, and they're going to start kicking ass. So Killrazor's motioning. He's not saying anything, but he's motioning. Everyone get behind him. All the bad guys start shooting, and this shot of Killrazor looks good. The shot of the bad guy shooting looks good. There's a bad kind of 180 rule. The bad guys are on the left here shooting towards the right, and then you have Black Anvil jumping out of the Jeep behind him, but he's kind of on the left jumping towards the right. They're both kind of going the same direction. This panel should be flipped. And then that way it looks like they're shooting this way, and then Anvil is going that way, so they're converging. But Anvil, he takes the blast, he takes the bullets, he's like, haha, they're not going to hurt me, I'm going to have to teach these guys some manners. So he picks up a giant snowy boulder and throws it at him, misses everything, but it disrupts him, and then he charges at him, leaps at him, screams at him, and socks at least 1, 2, 3 of them in one punch, sends them flying. Again, the action in this all looks pretty decent. I love the coloring. I mean, I say this all the time. Top Cow had great coloring. Sends him flying, and he's like, aha, that's awesome. So now Killrazor is standing over here face to face with one of the gunmen. He unloads. See, here we go. This is an exact example of establishing where people are. Bad guys on the left, good guys on the right. And in the next panel, bad guy is still on the left shooting towards the hero, and the hero is on the right angling his weapon towards the bad guy. You know, for anybody who kind of doesn't understand the kind of these storytelling basics, that's why that shot of the bad guy shooting that direction and the hero going that direction, it kind of doesn't work. But here's the thing. Anybody who's just a casual reader reading comics, I bet that never stopped them. It never confused them. There was never a moment's hesitation of understanding what's going on. So again, who cares? But there are kind of certain storytelling rules that an artist needs to kind of attempt to follow. And here Anthony Chun is doing it. They're all kind of properly positioned to follow the story. Bad guy shoots a gun. Killrazor just sends a blade out, zapping at him. Stabs him. I guess he can lift him through the air. He can control the blade's shape. why it doesn't just pop out and it's not rigid. It implies that it's kind of fluid and movable, I guess. Stabs the guy, drops him to the ground. Anvil's like, holy shit, Razor, come on, get in the Jeep. So they jump in the Jeep and they take off. So there were 3 bad guys, or at least there was one dead one who just got stabbed, and 2 others pick their asses up out of the snow, and then they walk up to their dead teammate, and then they suck his soul out, and it recharges them. It doesn't really tell you, which is kind of funny because I'm sitting here saying we don't need things to tell us everything, but you are left to wonder, like, dead body energizes the others. Do they just suck up his soul? Does it give him power? Does it give him strength? Who's to say? No one says anything. Back in the Jeep after their quick fight. Now they've got Killrazor. So Anvil's talking. He's like, yeah, the engine doesn't sound too good ever since he took a swan dive off the hood. Something's broken in the back of the Jeep. Girl and Killrazor are kind of like giving googly eyes to each other. And Anvil's like, well, I guess I'm not going to get a date with the girl because they're clearly an item. It's like, they are? When did that happen? Who is this blonde girl? What the fuck is going on? And then that same 180 rule that I was talking about, see how Killrazor's on the right side and the girl's on the left? They switch it. And that doesn't work because Killrazor jumps out the back of the Jeep. I guess it would make sense if Killrazor, like, he jumps out the back of the Jeep, so the angle of the shot is the camera is now set in front of the Jeep, but if you put the camera at the back of the Jeep and look at the characters, then this panel makes sense. So I guess it technically works because then he jumps out and takes off. And they're like, holy shit, where's he going? Should we follow him? And the girl's like, no, he must finish this alone. Be careful, my love. Like, suddenly blonde girl's in a relationship with Killrazor. I'm like, when did this get established? They're just throwing shit in there. So Killrazor, he runs, why? He just googly eyes the girl, stops, jumps out of the Jeep, runs off. Now he's scaling down the mountain. Here's another kind of approach to show an interesting way of him using his powers as he turns his back to the side of the mountain and pops out some rib blades to kind of like hook himself onto the mountain so he can be secured against the wall, so he can take this rifle that I guess he stole from the Jeep that was in the Jeep. I guess it doesn't show it except he's got something in his hand. And then down there are a couple more of the gunmen. That's the 2 guys that he was coming after. Did he just forget about him for a minute? Like, he just decided, like, oh wait, we're taking off, but I didn't kill everybody. So he jumps off, goes down a mountain, gets him in the sights, shoots a single shot and blows the head off of one guy. I'm like, shoot them both, dummy. But he doesn't. He just jumps down. Again, remaining guy, he sucks up the soul energy from his dead comrade. And now apparently he's supercharged up. So now they're going to fight. And so they form blades. He gets out weapons and they punch. Killrazor's mask gets ripped off his face. Yeah, I guess we care. There's this double-bladed axe. This is a weapon that the bad guys, these gunmen, carried that Silvestri designed in his pages. And again, I think Cyberforce number 5. So there's at least some kind of connective characters, but they're still boring. Like, who are these guys and why do we care? And why are they the gunmen carrying axes? We're going to kill you, Killrazor. But no, remember, Killrazor can shoot out blades from any part of his body and just skewers the guy. Now Killrazor gets his awesome shot. He's standing there, blades ejected out everywhere, and he's sitting there gritting his teeth. This is a Liefeld page if ever I saw one. Guy flexing with blades, close up on the face with gritted teeth. Okay, now we cut back to Killrazor joins back up with now that he's done, he ran out of the Jeep, he's going back to them. Anvil's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can fix this Jeep. It's starting to break down, but all I need is a body shop and an engine and a mechanic for all the hard stuff. I actually thought that line was kind of funny. But Killrazor shows up and she's like, oh my God, it's you. You're here. You're back. I'm so glad to see you. And Anvil's like, hey, now that you're here, my boss has got a job to offer you. And you seem like the kind of guy that we'd want on the team. And then it just cuts to a few minutes. I don't know. It just says, and I thought a little bit of time had passed because Anvil explains the job. But then Killrazor just gives a thumbs up. And he's sitting there with a smile on his face, and she's got a smile on her face. And Anvil's on the phone saying, hey, come pick me up. We're stuck. Oh, it's a long story. It's terrible, but come get us. Ha, ha, ha. It's funny, the end. I was like, oh, my God. It's not the worst thing ever. But it's so by the numbers, and you don't learn anything. What did you learn about Killrazor that you kind of don't know just by looking at him? I bet he's silent. I bet he's serious. He's a man of few words. I bet he'll stab people to death. I bet he's mysterious. You know, he's got a lot of mysterious background stuff that we don't know anything about. Like, we know all of that. We didn't learn anything. And so it's just it's honestly kind of a waste of time and space. It's just, yeah, again, is it a fun 90s action comic? Technically, I guess. I mean, I don't know about the fun part. It's just a 90s action comic, and depending on what you think, you might have read this and gone, okay, that was fine. But like, in this era, you know, some people give me shit. You're like, yeah, you're always bagging on artists, and everyone's got to grow, and people need time to learn. You're making it sound like no one's got any kind of skill. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in this era, there's an endless supply of characters exactly like this, with slight variations. Mysterious guy, mysterious past, blades or guns, and we need something that stands them out amongst the rest, or else they all just kind of feel like the carbon copies of the same thing. And then you very rapidly, you stop giving a shit about any of them. And then in that case, then what's the point? You know? But again, I'm not trying to imply the writer wasn't trying, but I'm going to also be honest and say he did not write a very interesting story. He was proud. He was happy. There's even a part in the opening credits page here where the writer he dedicates the book to a bunch of people, and he's super glad to have this opportunity. And like, I get it. I respect that. I like that. Anyone would feel the same way. Like, thank you for giving me this opportunity. But it's not that good. And so all I'm trying to say is that objectively, looking back on it, it doesn't hold up in the slightest. Not in the slightest. There are much better books out there at the time. And so this is just forgettable fluff. And that's fine, I guess. I mean, it's fine. But I would have been nice to learn something to make me give even the slightest shit about this deadly bladed weapon guy. And there's nothing there. And that's the missed opportunity. Put something in there to make us give a shit. And we don't. So, I don't know. That's all I got on this one. It's kind of very mid-range. Nothing exciting. But yeah, Killrazor, number 1. That's that. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.